This conference will now be recorded.
All right, welcome everybody. More people will be coming in. I'm expecting about 3 or 4 more. So first of all, it's good to see everybody. Hope everybody's healthy and safe and all that kind of stuff and busy. I'm sure all those things are true. And what we're going to do today is our friend Lucy from Straightedge Technologies, which are in both, they're both in San Antonio, Texas and Corpus Christi, Texas. And Lucy has been with them for a year. And we were just talking a little bit too. One significant thing about Lucy this past year and her company is they had a record year, actually the best year ever in terms of attracting new MRR clients, and they did it all through inbound. It was literally don't have salespeople anymore other than Douglas, who's the owner of the company. So Lucy's been with them now for a year of just getting up to speed on her background and her history. And actually, can everybody do everybody except Lucy kind of mute? Get a little background noise. There we go. And then so they've been attracting all their clients this past year. I want to say they attracted something like $32,000 to $35,000 in new MRR this year, and it was all done through inbound opportunities, and including recently, you can help me with this, Lucy. I think you just landed a co-managed opportunity. It's like $11,000 or $12,000 per month.
Yes.
As an inbound lead, correct?
Yes, they're all through the website, or we've gotten some phone calls from the website, but I think all the ones that became like a completed lead, like client, they were all from like the web forms.
That's awesome. And they've what happened about, I'm trying to think about when this happened. I think it was about 2 years ago. Douglas was convinced that in Corpus Christi, he was basically the biggest MSP in town and had kind of soaked up all the opportunity there. It turned out not to be true, but that was his. So he made a decision about 2 years ago to open up an office in San Antonio. And Lucy will go into how they've kind of shifted the mix towards San Antonio, and you're starting to get some traction in San Antonio now. I think, in fact, the big co-managed, was that in Corpus or was that San Antonio?
That one was in San Antonio.
Yeah, so we're starting to see some traction in San Antonio, and with that, I think you have control of the presentation at this point, Lucy. So
yes,
fire away.
Okay. And I'm still learning SEO too. This is just everything that we've been kind of doing. So this is the tools that we've used to track just all of our website visits and kind of insightful information that I've used to help. Visual Visitor is on this image on the right. That's what I get each day, and then weekly also I'll get like a little like updates on how many visitors we had per day and per week, when they come to our site, like when their busiest time is, and then where visitors come from, like if it's Google, Facebook, and I circled the most active search terms. I usually use this to build out like a page if I see something come up a lot. And construction software, I ended up making a blog for it that I'll go into more detail the next slides. And then Lucky Orange, we use that to see recordings of visitors visiting our page. So it actually shows you what they click on and how long they spend on your pages. Moz, I use that to check like what our backlinks are. I do a site crawl, which shows issues that are on the site, and I'll try and fix those every once in a while. And then Google Analytics kind of has all this info, but I like looking at like the busy time and days for visitors, and also like the bounce rates and what pages are the most busy.
Can you talk a little bit about Moz? I'm not really familiar with that. So when it says checks backlinks, is that the backlink, which backlinks are driving visitors to your webpage?
Yes, I think this is, well, this is Moz, but this is a different thing that I use it for. But so the backlinks, it has a profile, and it's all of these you just link with a you put a link in your HTML heading code on your website, and then it'll do all the tracking for you. And so Moz, it checks like where all of our, if a website page is linking to us, it shows where that is.
So it's people linking to you. It's not people that you have backlinks built into your.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And those we got through, sometimes like if we sign up for a chamber, they'll put our link on their site, but then also like the online web directories, we do a lot of those. So and those you can just freely submit your website, and then they'll post it on their page. Like example.
Oh, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
One example is Link Center is a page, or if you type in like web directories, there's some local ones, and you can submit your business and put it in the category that it fits, and that just helps kind of broaden where your website is.
And what's on-demand site crawl?
But the site crawl is another feature they have where you put in the web page that you want them to check, and then they'll check and see if you have any SEO issues, like if a title is too long and that's messing up your domain ranking, or if it's like a page is like too slow with loading, it'll tell you that also. So then you can go in and fix it on the backside.
So can I ask you a question? So do you have an outside firm that helps with SEO?
Yes, we have an SEO team in there in I believe Pennsylvania. So we always work with them virtually, and they do a lot of the more like coding and more in-depth stuff. And then I've just been kind of gradually learning from them, so we can kind of split up the work.
Okay.
But they have been the ones that really work on getting us backlinks and speeding up our page loading time, more stuff that I haven't gotten to.
Okay, sorry.
No,
Can I ask you one other question too, where it says in the upper left-hand corner, companies identified? Have you been, do you add, then you, has one of the effects been that you're kind of adding to your list too?
Yes, these I still have to kind of adjust. In Visual Visitor, you can go in and you can block, like you can block your own IP from showing up when you visit your page, and then you can block other companies. And a lot of these in this report are like internet providers, like Empire Access is one. So I have to kind of go in and fix some of those. But it will occasionally show you if you have an actual, like a healthcare practice visited. It just depends on if it picks up that company's name through its IP.
Is this for a day? Is this an actual report for
a? This is a weekly report. This was from February 1st to the 7th.
Okay, that's interesting.
And then another thing you can do on Moz that is helpful is you can go to one of their options is to type in you can do your own, or you can do like a competitor's website and then see what keywords they're ranking in and what they're not ranking in. So you can kind of use that to your advantage in picking the keywords that you use for your page. And so this is a WordPress blog that I did for the construction page. Or sorry, this isn't a blog, but this is our industry page we built out for construction. And the two plugins that really help us are Rank Math, and that shows you as you're writing out your blog on WordPress, it'll pop up with these green check marks on if your focus keywords in the content, if it's content is long enough. And so it kind of basically will tell you what you need to add in order to get a good SEO score or ranking. And it's just like an easy plugin. And then Beaver Builder is one that you plug in so that you don't have to use HTML to create your pages. You can just kind of drag and clip like
Mm-hmm.
Squarespace does.
Mm-hmm.
But so these pictures are just examples of what I put in for like the keyword and the meta description and everything.
It's interesting.
Um,
Changing on Google's good.
this one,
Mm-hmm.
Google has a lot of different rules and they even have some new ones in 2021, but these are some that are really easy to just do quickly. The optimized meta descriptions, that is when you create any web page and the little under description line that shows up on Google, you can edit that and make it whatever you want. And so they say to try to put keywords in it. Um,
And the
you
keywords you
also,
got from your previous stuff that you've done. So in other
yes,
words, yes, so
um,
those tools you use tell you which keywords tend to be the ones that attract the most people.
yes, like for the construction blog I did, I used the construction software keyword that I saw
Mm-hmm.
people searched a lot. And so I made sure to include that. Numbers and titles do really well for some reason. Like if you include the date, like top 5 reasons to get IT in 2021, the use of like top 5 and in 2021 brings up your ranking with Google.
Interesting.
Oops.
I'm sorry.
And then relaunching old content. So an example of this is in 2019, we did a Cyber Monday blog, like
Mm-hmm.
security. So in 2020, with COVID and people doing online shopping more, I updated that blog and put new links in it. And then I reshared it. So it kind
Mm-hmm.
of brought it back. And then it's more updated. So it's not an old article talking about Cyber Monday. Internal linking is really good. So if you can fit in, like write a blog or a page about co-managed services, and then you bring up,
Security or something, right?
yeah, then you can link out to your other page. And
Interesting.
spend time on long form content. So long content that basically just has more words will do better than just really short blog post, but it also has to be like no filler. It has to be actually useful information.
Mm-hmm. So in other words, you write longer pieces and shorter pieces.
Yes, so
Okay.
pretty simple. And then make use of your headers. So Beaver Builder plugin makes this really easy. You can just drag and drop an H2 header, H3 header, and basically just more segment your topics and always use your keywords in the headers. And then Google reads that more easily.
So what would be an example of that, Lucy?
I think I have one.
Coming up, okay. Later on, then
Um,
save it then. Right.
I'll show it up on our web page if you want. I have like a
Later
website and I can show the headers too.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
This is for like the blog writing process. At the beginning, when I first started working here, I tried to do a blog like a week or every 2 weeks, and I didn't really have a process for it. And then I realized it wasn't really helping us. It was actually kind of hurting to post things that just aren't useful.
Mm-hmm.
So now I do once a month a blog post, and the first thing I do is figure out what industry or topic I want to look at, and that's when I start looking at what keywords people have typed in to get to our page, and I use Visual Visitor to figure that out. Or then I'll use Keyword Planner on Google, and I believe someone who presented previously has talked about it, but I go there and I test out different keywords, and you can optimize it by looking at the average searches and the competition level. So it'll say that 5,000 people, there's 5,000 searches for it and the competition is really low, then that would be good. But if it was a really large amount of searches and the competition is high, you probably won't do well because there's so many competitors. Then research the content. Most of the stuff with IT topics, I have to do outside research. And I'll save some reliable sources, and then I'll link out to them on my blog post. And that helps out with SEO too. And with WordPress, with our Beaver Builder plugin again, you can select it and you can choose it to be a do follow or a no follow. And if you do a do follow, that means that, best way to explain it is if you do a do follow to a website that you reference to, if it's like a really big publication like Forbes and they have a good ranking, it'll positively affect yours.
Interesting.
But if you reference out to something that maybe you don't want their domain to affect yours, you would do a no follow, if that makes sense.
No, I'm following you.
And then this is really simple too, but blog layout and creation, after I get all the research, I organize it really in depth because the blogs do better if you have a lot of different sections and kind of labeled clearly. So I really separate each topic really thorough. Cool. And then afterwards, we usually post it on social media once or twice, and we'll include it in like an email campaign or our email newsletter just to get it out. And then we kind of let the rest of the SEO do its work with it.
And is it posted on your website? Is that the rest of the, that's what
yes.
It's blog? Okay.
We use WordPress.
Is it on a blog page or is it in the, let's say if you do any construction, is it posted in construction or is it posted in like a content part?
So we do, if it's a blog, our WordPress allows you to select blog, and then it's a specific section on our website that just has all the blogs.
Okay.
But then if we make a page where that we want to link out from like the landing page, we're specifically make it a page, not a blog.
Interesting.
And then one thing that our SEO team started doing, and it's been really helpful, is a power page, which it's very similar to blog post. But I found this quote that really kind of explains it well, that blog posts are usually like 600 words, but with a power page, it's usually supposed to have a lot more information. And it's usually between, like our last power page was 2,600 words. So it's a lot longer. But you really do the same thing. You use the organized structure, include long tail keywords, and just
Could you define what a long tail keyword is? I've heard that so often, I'm not sure I really know. Is it just a longer, is it literally just longer?
Yes, like it's a more specific, so if you're selling shoes instead of, shoes for sale, you would do more specific ones. So examples that we have done, let me see. One that I'm working on now is for oil and gas. And so instead of just doing oil and gas as the keyword, I'm trying to include like Internet of Things, oil and gas, like things I've found that just lengthen it. And it's important also to try to find a keyword that you can write in your blog more frequent, and it's a normal speaking tone, like it's not odd phrasing, just so you can include it more.
Because I'm talking to other people, that long tail keyword is actually important.
Yeah, quick question.
Really
So my understanding of what the long tail keywords are is like when you're looking up frequency of keywords in like Google or any of these tools, obviously like for the example you use, like shoes is just the one that's so frequently used, your ability to rank for it and the competition that you're up against is probably really high. And so when you look at it, the tail is that you go into these other keywords that are related to it that have a lot less, that are used a lot less often. That way you can rank more easily for all of those words. So like the long tail, from what I understood, was actually kind of like the way it looks when you're looking up the frequency of the keyword itself. Because we used to target those too at my old company.
Yes, and I think it really does it can benefit you, so you can kind of target more, like we've used in the past, IT services in San Antonio, like make it more specific, and then kind of avoid going into territories that maybe your clients aren't, or your target isn't at. Is kind of how we've seen it too. So this is our first Power Page that we made. I just included a screenshot of it so you can see there's a table of contents, and you can click on the table of contents. It actually works. And each bolded line is like a different header. So header 1 is threat 1 phishing. Header 2 is why does arise in that question. And then we also, in the second picture, you can see I linked in the red lettering, we linked out to an article that talked about a phishing scam. Let's see. And then also there's a lot of broken up, easy, understandable sections. So you can see like the paragraphs aren't really that long. They're very simple, like easy to read. And so
just so I understand, this is physically a page on your website then?
Yes, so the Power Page, you post them exactly like a blog, same place and everything. It's honestly just the big difference is it's longer. And then since it's longer, you can kind of fit in more secondary keywords instead of just one primary keyword. And after we publish it, we try to get backlinks. The SEO team does more of this, but some of the examples I said was like going on those Rev directories. That's more for like our landing page. But I think our SEO guys, one of our backlinks is a page that uses our Power Page as a reference. And so a lot of people say that you can just reach out to different publications and see if they want to share your page, or it's a lot of reaching out. And it's kind of a slow process.
That's one of the big things I've always heard about increasing your SEO is backlinks are valued, I guess, by Google.
Yes, I think it brings more positive view and more reliable. It makes your source a bit more reliable. And the big thing that I've noticed since we started doing the Power Page is we will get a lot of visitors from different states that aren't our target, but since we're getting such a large amount of visitors to this Power Page, it brings up our SEO. So, and I've even had 2 people on LinkedIn that are kind of in the IT realm. We'll get random people posting our Power Page and tagging us in it. So it has really kind of gotten widespread, and that just further makes your whole website SEO go up. And then we try to, as we go, like, and make more pages, you can update the Power Page and splice in more internal links to your own site.
Hey, Lucy, I had a question. This is Henry. Where did you come up with the content for your Power Page? I was looking at it, and it's pretty specific to cybersecurity. Is this all content that you made up from scratch, or is this something that you had a cybersecurity specialist write?
What I did is I just found a bunch of sources. Like a lot of the stuff that we get sent from like ID Agent includes a lot of this information, and I send that to our SEO team, and they have like a copywriter, and so he puts it all together and then writes it out, and then he sends it back to me, and I'll review it and make sure that everything was correct, and Doug will review it to make sure everything's correct. But we just have the copywriter on our SEO team put it together, but I gave them sources.
Okay.
And our first topic was the cybersecurity threats, just because that was kind of it's still a big theme. But our next power page that we're posting tomorrow, I believe, that one is about remote working. So we're going to try doing one each quarter, and each one will be like a topic that's kind of widely talked about at the time.
So
And
there's like a content writer specifically that gives you the content. Like you source the
no,
writer from a company that does it for you? I'm still a little unclear on that.
Sorry, the SEO, so I usually write the smaller blogs, and then the power pages, our SEO team has a copywriter that works for them, and he wrote up the whole power page, but we gave him all the content. So we gave him web pages that listed off the topics we wanted him to discuss, or we gave him some of our own like white papers that we've written about, and he just kind of compiles it
Put it
in a
all
way
together.
that works for like SEO with keywords and everything.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
If that
Thanks.
makes sense. And then these are not blog posts, but actual pages we've made. We did a specific page for each industry we serve, and so we had it link out from our landing page. There's just icons for each industry we use, and then each individual page, we talk about our services, but we make sure to target it towards them, and we make sure to include their any software that they often use. We'll include that in it, and we'll put a testimonial that we have from that industry on the page. And then whenever I do a Facebook ad, I'll make it specific to one industry and have the link bring them to that page instead of our landing page, so it's more targeted to them. And then the specific page for each location we serve, we have our two main locations in Corpus and San Antonio, but there's a lot of surrounding cities around it. So we made our main landing page, and we have a see all locations drop down on the landing page. And then from that, you can click on each individual city, and it just has a list of 10 other cities we service.
Interesting.
And the other way that we put it on the site was we made a button on the footer on the bottom of our page. And when you click that, there's a whole separate landing page created. And then from that, you can go on. So it's very much like a level system, just to kind of split it up. And so we use the city's keywords, the city's names as keywords. And so that we can, since San Antonio is so large, we can kind of target the smaller areas that aren't downtown.
So in the 10, for example, you might have parts of San Antonio as opposed to San Antonio is just a single line item.
Yes. So like we have for San Antonio, we have New Braunfels, Bernie, little different other areas that, you know, we service, but it's not the broad term of San Antonio. And we do the same for Corpus Christi. We have a few different towns we service.
This is another thing that I've heard is vital in really boosting your SEO is extreme localization.
Yes, I think just detailing it and making it more specific helps with not just SEO, but when we do like any advertisements on Facebook or social media, I try to send it to a more specific page now instead of just the general landing page. And we've only done it with construction so far, but throughout this year, I'll try alternating them and seeing how it works out. And then that was all I had. I can show you on our website, I can pull up if we have time and show like the how Beaver Builder looks and what the rank math looks like.
Mhm. I have one question. So in addition to this, you kept mentioning like Facebook and Google AdWords. Is there, I guess, is there synergy between what you presented now and how you invest in Facebook ads or in Google ads?
Yes, I have noticed since it's so easy to track if something comes from Facebook or LinkedIn, like it'll show on our Visual Visitor and Lucky Orange
Mm-hmm.
pages, it'll tell us that. So now I'm able to, when I do a Facebook ad, like the construction ad that we did,
Mm-hmm.
Lucky Orange will show you what page their first page they landed on your site.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go through Lucky Orange, it'll show this visitor came from Facebook and their first page was the construction page. So I know that they got to us from Facebook ads specifically. So it's helped me be able to making things more specific and using the pages more specifically with ads has made it easier to track.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the biggest part, I think, is before when I did a Facebook ad, I did have like the clicks that Facebook showed, like their insights, but I could never see on our end what they did once they're on our site. Now I can kind of get a better view of that.
Do you have metrics around how many leads you're getting from SEO and ads, and what percentage of those leads are closing?
I don't have any specifically from ads, but for the past 2 to 3 months recently, we've been getting at least one a week inbound lead from our website through a web form fill. And we use the forms that we have on our site, and we also have a rep chat. We use that through our CSM pipe drive, and that's been helpful too, kind of giving us more insight on that. But we've been getting about 1 or 2 a week inbound leads, and they've all been from the website. But I haven't really kind of locked it down to be able to see if they came from a Facebook ad specifically. If you get
So you're
Lucky
getting
Orange,
about,
sorry, go.
I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, so you're getting about 4 to 8 leads per month from inbound, and you're probably closing at least 1 to 2 of those per month then, right? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think it's usually it seems like our months at the beginning of the month we do better, and we haven't really been able to figure it out, but we'll get like 1 a week, or there'll be 1 week where we get 2, and then the last week we won't get any leads. And I don't know the cause of that really. But so yeah, and then we've closed about, I think, 1 per month is what it's kind of equaled out to recently.
And how much are you spending on your ads?
Our ads were really not spending that much. We were spending about 500, 600. But then last month we started and we lowered it down more to, I think, around 300 now. We're kind of taking a break from focusing on Google ads, and we're going to start doing retargeting Facebook ads and see how that works for us, because we really weren't getting on our Google Analytics, we could see if we got a click from the Google ad, and we would only get like 1 or 2 clicks. So it really, we weren't getting that much. So now we're kind of focusing more on retargeting on Facebook and just doing the organic SEO.
I have a question. How much time did it take to build your SEO? And then once it was all built out, when did the leads start coming in?
So right when I got hired, which was September of 2019, they had just hired on the SEO team. And so it was about then when they really were starting to do stuff, and we didn't really see much traction. Like we would, if we were lucky, we would get like 1 lead a week or 1 lead a month from our inbound leads. And I think once it got to late this summer 2020 is when we really started seeing an increase in visits. And then just like the last few months, like November, each week we've been getting even more bigger increase. So it did take a while. It took about like a year to kind of see the progress, but now it seems to be growing at a faster speed.
Did you always do Google Ads to generate the leads, or did you start with organic?
We always did Google Ads, and we usually always spent that 500, 600 a month range. We kind of did it at the same time as our SEO. And when we first started, we really just had the basic pages. And then we started building out some of the blogs. And then this summer was when we started making the individual industry pages and location pages. I think that's what really helped us boost it up. And then the power pages also were around the summertime. So we really kind of kicked it all up all summer 2020 with COVID too, especially.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or anything? I'm still learning it all. I've kind of noticed that like a blog, it'll take me a few weeks to finish a blog, and a power page takes the team at least a month to do. So it is kind of it's not like a quick process is what I realized, because when I was first writing a blog, I could do it in like a week, but it really wasn't bringing any SEO. And now I'm actually noticing blog posts that I wrote a year ago are getting visits now randomly again, just from natural searches. So it really is kind of a gradual thing, and I think it's important to spend that time researching for the blog and Power Page and making sure it's actual good information.
What's the what's the next level for you, Lucy? Is there anything beyond what we covered today that you aspire to on the SEO side?
I really would like just to keep it, the big thing that was on our marketing goal was we were getting 400 to 500 visits per week on our website, and that's on all pages. And so I made it my goal to reach like 600 visits a week.
Good for you. Okay.
But it's funny because I made that marketing plan in like late November, early December, and then January we started getting 600 visits a week. So my goal is just to keep increasing that. That's the big thing, I think, is just we've noticed that when we do get more visits, it really does correlate with the numbers. When we get more visits, we get more leads, and it definitely is, it's all about how many people. The SEO really is helpful because Google then, it starts to show people will find you more naturally.
And my sense is if you thought about those, I think you had 5 industries under or so, right? So do you have this all planned out for like the whole year about which ones you're going to do power pages for? Like 1, 2, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I've started, so the power pages we made more broad, like could reach all industries, but then the blog posts now, basically each month, I'll pick a different one. So now I'm working on oil and gas, since it's kind of and I chose that because with the politics right now, it's at least where we live in Texas, oil and gas is going through a lot of changes. So it's kind of a hot topic. So that's why I picked it for this month. So it kind of just depends, I think, too, on what's going on, like with that industry. But yeah, and so then really I just kind of base it off of, I'll go with the keyword planner and try to see what oil and gas topics people are searching and then I do my research after I found all that out.
This is an awesome job. I appreciate you putting all the time and energy and effort into this. This was actually a very good tutorial, at least for me.
Thank you. It really is kind of, I feel like the SEO, you just build upon it, and like one day I just specifically went and looked through all our pages, and if you download Rank Math, it'll give you a number and out of 100, and usually you want to be like in the 70, 80 range to have like a good SEO ranking. So I just went through all our pages and edited them a bit and inputted things that needed to be put there that maybe weren't put there originally, and I noticed a difference after even just doing that. So it really is kind of constant trying to keep up with it.
And what about any tips you have for working with an outside SEO company? Like how did you change things that they were doing or direct them in a different way that actually increased the impact that they were able to make for you?
That was kind of gradual too. We used Trello. So we have a table for completed, we have a table for to do, and we have for review. And so if I want something done and I don't know how to do it, I'll ask them. And sometimes if it's something that I just need to know one step for, and then I could do it over and over, they will send me a Loom video of them doing it. And so then it saves both of us time in the future. But usually I'll just put in like a request on Trello, or, you could do email or whatever. And then they do it on their side. And we kind of just communicate all through either Trello or email. And we have a monthly meeting with them, and they will go through all the numbers and Google Analytics. And
what are their primary responsibilities? You mentioned backlinks and you mentioned the copywriter. What else? What do they do what's their primary things
they
do for you?
For the Power Pages, they write the most of the content, and they work on all the backlinks. And then the service page, the location pages, since they do a lot of the stuff that's more technical, because we have to kind of link that to Google Maps and everything. So they do a lot of the more technical, or if
those are three pretty important things, right? So they have
more
that's their
technical
expertise.
things. But it's really kind of, that was a learning process, kind of learn like, what am I able to do? What are they able to do? And it's just a lot of collaborating, but it is helpful. Like, I don't think I would be able to finish everything in a timely manner if it was just one person, like just me doing SEO. It's just writing everything takes some time. So having a team is helpful too.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions for our friend Lucy? I think you did a wonderful job, Lucy.
Thank you.
Like I say, I now understand SEO. you must be good. Any other questions or comments or? Okay. Does anybody else have another topic for the group they wanted to bring up? If not, we can wrap up and give you back 15 minutes of your life today. All right. Very quiet group today. But that's okay. I think hopefully this was helpful for you guys. It's funny because what I always thought about SEO was there was some kind of magic like equation that if you could figure it out, you would all of a sudden get all these leads coming in. But I think what I learned from you, and I'll send you guys another webinar on this too, is it's the discipline around it, and it's the quality actually. I actually think that what speaks to me is you got all the you got the kind of process discipline in place, and also with the Power Pages, you're kind of adding and your blogs, you're actually adding a quality context to it as well. Making sure that you're writing blogs based on input that you're getting from people being interested in something, right? Like their construction software, I think was the one I saw. So
Yes. And I've started trying to, with our inside sales team and like client account manager, try to link up with them and see like whatever our clients asking you about. And that's been helpful too, trying to get more of an insight. Even like probably asking like the techs too is helpful to kind of get more of a looking from the outside in, because you kind of get stuck just writing your own thoughts. So that's really helpful too.
All right. Well, thanks again, my friend. Down there in, are you in Corpus? You're in Corpus, right? You're not in San
Corpus,
Antonio.
yes.
Do you visit the San Antonio office very often?
A few times. I did in December.
That's awesome. All right. So if nobody else has any questions, I will get you guys out. I'll get you guys out the recording because there's a lot of detail here that you might be able to benefit from. And I'll send it out later today. So look for it in your email.
Thanks, Lucy.
Thank you, Lucy.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Lucy.
Bye.
Thank you, Lucy.